Ah! Ah! We know we're under attack! We know it! We're breaking the conditioning! Ah!
Many games have trouble managing difficulty. Either easy is too piss easy, or hard is just impossible, or too time-consuming to bother. For example, let's look at Skyrim, where difficulty is measured not by thought and tactics, but by damage. Think of Skyrim's difficulty by weighing damage on a scale. On lower difficulty levels, your damage is amplified and your enemy's damage is reduced. This isn't engaging because nothing's a threat and any strategy works. When enemies are dealing 1/4 the damage they should, and you are dealing 4 times the damage you should, why are you even playing? Just go watch a movie. On Skyrim's medium difficulty, you and your enemies are dealing damage to each other 1 for 1. Now on paper, this sounds good. And it is in the beginning, because you are a low health player with low damage going against low health enemies with low damage. But later in the game it falls apart, because you are just dealing 1 for 1 damage, and while you are upgrading your weapons, enchanting your armor, and pumping health, your enemies aren't. Though Skyrim curves its difficulty to you, your enemies still aren't wielding upgraded, highly enchanted gear, and you're still facing off against weak underlings who pose no threat, serving only to stand between you and the 1 or 2 enemies who actually matter. But then we move into the harder difficulties, Master and Legendary, where the scale tips in the enemy's favor, lowering your damage and raising theirs. Now, this can be fun because it makes the game very challenging and forces you to adopt different playstyles, but, and this is a big but, getting forced into an archery or magic-based playstyle is not fun. Spongy enemies are not fun. The inability to approach even the weakest enemies without getting forced into a kill move is not fun. Man, the first time I tried to play Skyrim starting on Legendary, I rolled a big, meaty, beefy tank who upgraded steel armor and only pumped health. And consistently, until about 20 hours in when I finally gave up, everyone but the weakest enemies could one-shot me. I barge into a room wearing upgraded orcish armor and plus 300 health, and this bandit with an iron dagger and fur armor just walks up, scoffs at me, grabs my head and fucking headbutts me to death. That makes no sense! That's not balanced! And that's the issue with this tipping scale difficulty system. Yes, the game is easier or harder, but it's not fun. It's not organic. It's turning the player into a big stomping god or a weak little mouse with no room for growth. And unfortunately, most games use this scale difficulty system. But is there another way? Is there another way to make a game challenging while allowing the player to grow, but keeping the stakes high the entire time? Yes, there is, because if there wasn't, I wouldn't be making a video right now explaining it and then criticizing it, but we haven't gotten that far yet. This is Wildcat's difficulty balancing, or alternatively, the Metro Ranger system. Wildcat in the Metro game's Ranger difficulty aim to raise the stakes not by tipping a scale, but by amping everything up. With this balancing philosophy, everything from everybody hurts. Everybody, from the lowliest minions to the greatest overlords, demand attention and respect. Anything could be the end. One missed power attack or one stray bullet. With damage this high, a low-leveled but skilled player can take on an over-leveled bandit chief without it being a sure, spongy loss. And the same goes for your enemies. Regardless of how high-leveled you are, if a lowly bandit gets a power attack on you from behind, it is going to hurt. And this is fun because combat starts engaging and stays engaging from level 1 to level 81. Everyone carries weight, everyone can make an impact. And because of how fast everything is, combat moves quickly and ends just as quickly. You don't spend longer than maybe a minute fighting at a time. And this is very cool, this is very fun, this is very engaging. With combat like this in any game, it all comes down more to the player and their skill than a scale. Now, this is all well and good, and I do love this combat system and the way it balances everybody, puts everyone on the level playing field. But what does it lose? What are the drawbacks of this high stakes for everybody system? Well, its downside is its greatest strength, and that is its speed. How fast combat moves. I'm the kind of player who likes deployables, who likes debuffs, who loves crowd control and manipulating enemies. Nothing is more satisfying than hitting a big boss enemy with CC, throwing down a turret, raising the undead, and telling his friends that he was mocking their little peepees behind their backs, then doing some massive space farts on him, giving him AIDS, and lighting him on fire, then just sitting back and watching that big fuck-off health pool dwindle slowly. But with this high-stakes damage system, I can't even get through the first bit before he just keels over and dies. Thus, the amped damage system sorta falls into the same pit the scale system does, pushing players not into a long-ranged evasive playstyle, but a high-damage, in-your-face one. Fortunately though, you don't have to go with this higher damage system, but it is certainly encouraged. So where does that leave us? Are we forever cursed to choose between combat fast and brutal or slow and strategic? Normally I'm quite the answer boy, but to be honest with you, I don't really know. I don't know if there's a place in the Wildcat Ranger market for stacking debuffs and poisons and other little bits. High but even stakes are certainly preferable to the scale system, but what's lost? Are hair trigger reflexes and twitchy violence more important than careful pre-planning and preparation? The staggering fun and popularity of Hotline Miami, Doom, and Titanfall 2 nudge me towards yes, but every time I play The Witcher 3, gathering ingredients for poisons and bombs and reading books to learn strategies against tough enemies, and every time I play Bioshock, managing my plasmids and tonics, planning carefully, using the environment and enemies against themselves to keep my cost to kill low and my health high, I think no. Pre-planning does have a place in combat and should be necessary sometimes. Or at least markedly more effective than just running in with an iron dagger and getting the same results. But then after balancing everything to accommodate that slower, more prepared playstyle, you're back right where you started. So really, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I know although they can't do both, I still enjoy The Witcher, I still enjoy Wildcat, I still enjoy the Metro games on the Ranger difficulty, I still enjoy Bioshock. And maybe games just can't do both. And if that's the case, that's alright, because I do enjoy them both, and there are games built for either. But what do you think? Is it possible for games to pull off both? Have you heard of one? Have you played one? If you have, let me know, I'd love to hear about it. And if you do have to choose, which do you prefer? Are you a fast, aggressive player, or do you prefer a slower, more thoughtful style? Let me know down in the comments, baby boy, you got me curious. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, because that helps me out a lot, and if you really enjoyed and you haven't yet, subscribe, because we do this shit weekly, and we're actually doing it more than just weekly now. This is evidence of that. And if you have any thoughts or questions, comments, or concerns, or answers for the questions I ask, drop a comment down below, because you're smart and I love hearing from you. I mean that. I really mean that. I mean it. I do. And thanks again for watching, really. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you again in the future.
Take my tears, and that's not nearly all. Take love, you got that. Take love.